What to the slave is the 4th of July? This haunting question posed by Frederick Douglass in 1852 reverberates through time, striking at the heart of America's celebration of freedom. While millions gathered to commemorate independence, a stark reality loomed: theirs was not a shared experience. For the enslaved, the 4th of July symbolized not liberation but a bitter reminder of chains and injustice. Douglass's words pierced American idealism, challenging both his audience and the nation itself. In an America divided by slavery, Douglass emerged as a powerful figure. He had experienced enslavement firsthand, and his journey to freedom ignited a fierce desire to fight for justice. Gathered in Rochester, New York, the audience expected a celebratory oration but instead received a rebuke of the nation's hypocrisy. Douglass laid bare the contradictions between celebrated ideals and the grim reality faced by enslaved people. By inviting his audience to reflect on the true meaning of freedom, Douglass forced them to reckon with the moral inconsistency at the core of American democracy. He asserted that the 4th of July was a day of mourning for the enslaved, exposing the facade of liberty that many Americans took for granted. Douglass ignited a movement, reprioritizing moral responsibility over complacency. Listening to Douglass, one could feel the weight of his words as he articulated the unyielding spirit of those who yearned for freedom. His eloquence transformed protest into a universal call for justice, reminding everyone of their shared humanity. As he closed, the atmosphere shifted. The celebration of independence took on a new meaning, reframing the 4th of July as both a joyous occasion and a painful reminder of work yet to be done. Douglass's legacy is a call to transcend mere rhetoric in the pursuit of social justice. His voice remains a beacon for those fighting inequality today. In his vision, true independence is not just the absence of bondage but the presence of respect, dignity, and justice for every individual, an ideal that challenges us, prompting a quest for genuine freedom. Born into the blight of slavery in February 1818 in Maryland, Douglass's early years were marred by forced labor. Yet, his spirit remained unbroken. He learned to read and write in secret, understanding that education was the pathway to freedom. At 20, Douglass escaped to the North, where he witnessed systemic racism, deepening his resolve to fight for abolition. Douglass's voice crescendoed at abolitionist meetings, captivating crowds with his powerful oratory. His pivotal speech in Rochester in 1852 transcended mere rhetoric. It was a visceral indictment of a nation that turned a blind eye to the suffering of its black citizens. The 4th of July, a day of jubilation for many, became a day of mourning for African Americans. Douglass's words urged reflection on the true meaning of liberty, planting seeds for change and inspiring others to join the fight for justice. Douglass wielded the pen as a weapon against injustice. He laid bare the realities of slavery in his autobiographies, humanizing the plight of the oppressed. His writing inspired generations, echoing the struggles of a silenced people. As a fierce advocate for women's rights, he recognized the interconnectedness of all struggles for justice, standing with suffragists to envision a future of equality. Douglass's unwavering journey reveals more than an extraordinary man, it embodies the heart of a movement. His legacy compels us not only to remember but to act. The battle for justice continues, and in Douglass's words, we find a rallying cry for our own era. On July 5, 1852, Douglass stood before a crowd gathered to celebrate Independence Day. He bore the profound burden of a reality that many wished to ignore. The 4th of July, synonymous with liberty, was for Douglass a stark reminder of the grotesque disparities in American society. He laid bare the hypocrisy of a nation that proclaimed freedom while shackling men and women in slavery. As Douglass began his speech, the air crackled with an expectation that hung heavy over the audience. They were nestled in the cool shade of Rochester's Corinthian Hall, a venue that buzzed with the chatter of those gathered for what was meant to be a day of joyful celebration. Yet there he stood, a former slave turned orator, his heart beating with the pain of his past and the hopes of his people. He painted a vivid picture of the horrors faced by enslaved individuals, articulating the pain of families torn apart and lives extinguished. His eloquence transformed statistics into human experiences, each word piercing the heart of injustice. He spoke of the ideals enshrined in the Declaration of Independence, which rang hollow for those born into bondage. The blessings of liberty were not bestowed upon those whose skin bore the mark of slavery. Douglass proclaimed with fervor, "What to the American slave is your 4th of July?" I answer, a day that reveals to him, more than all other days in the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham, your boasted liberty, an unholy license, your national greatness, swelling vanity, your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless, your denunciation of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence, your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery, your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade, are, to him, mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy. As he concluded, his voice became a call for justice, demanding that the nation confront its moral failings. His rhetorical questions forced listeners to grapple with their complicity in an unjust system. Douglass didn't just deliver a speech, he ignited a moral awakening, understanding that true freedom was not merely the absence of chains but the presence of justice for all. His impassioned plea for equality resonated, igniting a struggle for civil rights, a relentless pursuit demanding recognition of shared humanity. The intensity of his passion revealed a fierce determination to restore dignity and hope. Douglass envisioned a future where liberty and justice were foundational truths experienced by all. His speech became a pivotal moment in the abolitionist movement, inspiring countless others to join the fight against slavery. The legacy of that day in Rochester was far-reaching. Douglass stood at the forefront of a revolution, articulating not just the pain of the present but the promise of a better tomorrow. His words echoed in the hearts of those who yearned for change, laying the groundwork for future leaders of the civil rights movement. The air vibrated with a new energy, igniting a sense of urgency that propelled the abolitionist cause forward, as more and more individuals began to understand the deep moral implications of slavery. Douglass's clarion call for justice urges us to fulfill the promise of freedom today. His legacy is not a remnant of the past but a living testament that shapes our understanding of justice and equality. As we reflect on his contributions, we must consider how Douglass's insights resonate within our current struggles for civil rights and social justice. In the face of systemic racism and ongoing inequality, Douglass's words ring truer than ever. He urged us to recognize that true freedom is not merely the absence of chains but the presence of justice for all. His fervent belief that every human is entitled to liberty fuels the ongoing quest for justice across the nation. Today's movements for equality echo Douglass's principles. From marches for Black Lives Matter to calls for immigration reform, the threads of his fight for justice have woven themselves into contemporary activism. Each act of defiance against oppression is a testament to Douglass's spirit, inspiring us to stand against injustice. His unwavering courage in the face of adversity reminds each of us of our own capacity to create change in our communities and beyond. Douglass's power lay not just in immediate impact but in inspiring generations. His speeches compel us to confront uncomfortable truths and engage with the issues that matter most. Douglass believed that the moral arc of the universe bends toward justice, but it's our duty to be the hands that bend it. In a world that often feels fractured by division, his words challenge us to come together, to fight collectively for the change we wish to see. Moreover, his reflections on education highlight knowledge as a formidable weapon against injustice. Douglass emphasized that an informed society can champion its own rights. He understood that education was not simply about imparting knowledge but about awakening a sense of agency. In a world filled with misinformation, the call to educate ourselves and others has never been more pressing. Douglass himself became a living testament to this belief, transforming from an enslaved individual into a leading intellectual and activist who would inspire millions. His insistence on unity among the oppressed has profound implications today. He understood that the fight for justice is powerful when collective, embracing a shared vision for a just society. Douglass's legacy reminds us that the work is never done. His vision of justice is a guiding light, encouraging vigilance, advocacy, and resilience in the pursuit of a more just world. We see his principles alive in the activism that surrounds us now, uniting various demographics in the fight against inequality, reminding us that every voice matters. As we contemplate Douglass's legacy, we must reflect on how his message informs our actions today. Are we willing to confront our biases? Are we prepared to challenge the structures that perpetuate inequality? The journey towards equality demands that we commit ourselves to the ongoing struggle and carry forward the ideals Douglass championed. It calls on us to be both courageous and compassionate, to stand against injustice whenever we encounter it. In a world grappling with injustice, Douglass teaches us that the fight is continuous, urging us to honor his legacy not just with words but with actions that further the cause of justice. Freedom must ring true for every person, everywhere. His story serves as a reminder that the journey toward equality is a collective endeavor, one that requires the participation of all who dare to dream of a world where justice prevails. Frederick Douglass envisioned a future where the chains of oppression were shattered, replaced by the unyielding embrace of liberty for all. His message is timeless and ever relevant, urging us to remain vigilant and engaged in the fight for justice. In Douglass's enduring words, we find not just a reflection of the struggles of the past but also a powerful challenge to confront the injustices of the present and to dare to imagine a future where equality is not just a dream, but a lived reality.